Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the 143. This is episode 135. We're coming at you live.
We are tapping into the NFL as the preseason began last Thursday. Finally starting to see some NFL games. Still waiting on CeeDee Lamb to get signed by the Cowboys, so that's something fun to see. Ever so patiently.
Yep. A lot of overreactions to this weekend's games. People seem to forget that the season hasn't officially started yet.
All these quarterbacks are playing against the JV.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. Just going to focus today on the quarterbacks. First of all, seeing a lot of quarterbacks playing in the preseason. Didn't see that last year, and I'll talk about how that really affected the play last year and hopefully how it's better this year because the primetime games last year were awful. Anyways, let's get it rolling with the stat of the week. Brought to you by our sponsor, Andrews Logistics. The stat this week is the medal count in the Olympics, the final medal count. I'm only going to give you the top two. So the U.S. had 40 gold medals and China had 40 gold medals as well. But the tiebreaker goes to the person with the most total medals after that. When we smashed them, we had like 127. They had like 91. So technically we get the tiebreaker over China, but it doesn't really feel like a win because we tied them in gold medals. And it's just like, we kept checking the standings and I kept seeing things about America wins another gold. USA does this. USA wins another gold in this. It's like China just, I don't know what they were doing, but apparently they were winning golds in these minuscule events like artistic swimming, like that I didn't even know counted. Yeah, I can kayak.
2-man
like
canoe.
I can kayak.
Like we're winning stuff that's like we're winning the track events, the field events,
like the athletic events, like the athletic. They're winning table tennis. So congrats,
the most
China.
random stuff ever. Yeah.
I
guess we technically did win, but
I wish
we'd gotten 41 golds. And your player of the week is going to be the New Orleans Saints, one of their newer additions at kicker, Charlie Smythe from Mayo Bridge, United Kingdom. That's somewhere overseas. That's not here. Banged a 37-yard field goal to win the game against the Arizona Cardinals. His first make of his career. So that's pretty impressive.
He
showed up and showed out at their tryouts that they had, and then he got an opportunity at the end of that game to win the game for him, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, just a really cool story. Guy comes out of nowhere from Ireland, and his first ever kick in any football game is a game winner. Obviously, it's a preseason game, but they were seeing what he was made of. I think he's been pretty impressive in practice is what word on the street is. Got some comps to Brandon Aubrey, who, didn't really play football.
On another planet.
Yeah. But they're saying, you're seeing a lot of these guys that haven't played football before come out, and obviously he made one kick, and Brandon Aubrey made 50-something in a row before he missed. But Brandon did miss in the preseason game. Don't love seeing that from Brandon, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But yeah, it's a really cool story. So congrats to my boy, Mr. Smythe, and hope to see him in week 1. So let's talk about the games, and mainly not really the scores or anything. Those really don't matter in the preseason, but we saw a lot of starting quarterbacks, not just your rookie guys that got drafted in the first round, but also like Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. These guys played snaps. CJ Stroud played a drive. Obviously, they're all playing like either 1 or 2 drives. Most of them just 1. But last year, I feel like we didn't see any starting quarterbacks play at all.
They underwent a lot of heat last year just because there were a lot of interceptions thrown during the regular season. And I think a lot of that was due to them not playing at all during the preseason. They were just taking training camp and practice snaps, and their first game speed snaps were in week 1 last year,
Yeah,
and so that caused a lot of these quarterbacks to
a
be
lot of
off to
rust.
some rocky starts.
Yeah,
But they decided to change their ways this year. Um, I mean, Tom Brady, back when he was playing in his prime, he was there for the preseason games. He would play a few drives here and there for the Patriots, and he was the best to ever do it. So, I mean, that's the example that we have, and now we're seeing uh, the starters going to play again, which is good. Like to see people competing. That way we can get some high-powered football as soon as the season gets underway. We don't have to wait for any of these guys to, warm up
yes.
or get readjusted to game speed because they should come in flying.
Yeah, I was happy to see it because the start last year, I mean, even that first game, Chiefs Lions, was just, I mean, there were a lot of everyone was really rusty. You could just tell a lot of those starters. I mean, guys like Joe Burrow, who didn't play most of last season, definitely need to be knocking the rust off, getting the reps back in. So it's good to see them out there. And then also, I think it's extremely helpful for the rookie quarterbacks who they may not even be starting week 1, but they will start at some point. That's why they were drafted, to be seeing some early action. Now, I think that it's really cool that they're playing well. A lot of the rookie quarterbacks came out and played really well. And you know what? Kudos to them. But they were playing against guys who are probably not going to be on rosters come week 1. So obviously after the preseason comes, the week before or 2 weeks before the regular season starts, you have 90 guys on your roster and you have to cut it down to 53. So a lot of the guys playing right now are fighting for roster spots. So they're guys you most likely will not see, in terms of, like, for most of these preseason games, these are guys we won't see in the regular season. Um, so we'll start with the big one that everyone's just overreacting to, like they've been doing his entire career. Caleb Williams had some dazzling plays. Oh my goodness. In a preseason game, he had some acrobatic throws. He had a no-look duck that he threw to DeAndre Swift, a 3-yard pass. I'm not even sure it was no look, and the ball like flew end over end, which is not a football supposed to spiral. It didn't, and so well, man, Caleb Williams and the Bears are apparently winning the division this year after seeing that drive in the preseason. Nick, I don't know what you think about that one.
I mean, yeah, absolutely incredible. He's dropping dimes on players that will not have a job come the end of August when they get cut, because that's who he's playing against right now. He's playing against some guys that are not going to see a roster spot, or guys that will not see any meaningful
Yep.
playing field time. Now, he is a prime example of putting a rookie in right now so that you can get him adjusted to the game, but I don't think he's going to be ready.
Yeah.
We've been
I mean,
haters since
yeah.
day one. We're trying to show you the truth of what's going to happen with Caleb Williams under the Bears regime. He's not going to be very good. The Bears will be the same old Bears. They're going to win 6 games, maybe. Not the
They
division.
might win more. I don't know. They're not winning the division. Here's the thing. They did a great job in the offseason, I think, of picking up amazing pieces, got wide receivers. They got some great defensive guys. I wouldn't be shocked if they won like 8 or 9 games. Caleb Williams is like, at this point, it's his team to mess up. So that's the thing. Like, if he plays like okay, which he should, he's the first overall pick. So he's not going to like completely be awful at football. Like he obviously like has some talent. I think he'll play all right. All right, but can we stop acting like they're going to the Super Bowl? And can we stop acting like he's the league MVP because he had a sideline throw where he was running and he threw on the run? Okay, like that's what a quarterback does, and it's in preseason, like we said. There's a huge overreaction right now to Caleb Williams. It's been going on forever. And I don't know what it is with Bears quarterbacks, but they never want to admit if they're bad or not. So even if Caleb plays bad, they're only going to show his highlights, just like they did with Justin Fields, and they're only going to talk about how good he is. There's a reason Justin Fields is a backup right now in Pittsburgh. So I don't know. I'm not saying Caleb's going to be like Justin Fields, but he definitely, I mean, you can't give him generational talent right now. You just can't. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything in college. He hasn't done anything in the pros, but he completed a pass down the sideline in week 1 preseason NFL football, and we're ready to crown him the next GOAT. So I'm tired of that.
I don't think the Bears' trajectory is going to change at all. They might win a few more games than what we're
Yeah.
used to seeing, but overall, they're still going to be bad. They're still going
I
to
don't
be
need.
bottom of the
I mean,
barrel team.
they're in a stacked division, and I would say the Vikings aren't going to be. I don't think the Vikings are going to get last. I still think the Bears are going to be last in their division. Speaking of the Vikings, JJ McCarthy also had a really good outing as well. People were really raving about him. Obviously, not as much, and they're not ready to like crown him or anything. They brought in Sam Darnold to that team to be the starter for right now, but I don't think JJ McCarthy's looking too bad right now. I think he could be like the QB of their future. Obviously, people are just really overreacting. Like this couple of drives they got really they had great throws. JJ McCarthy had some really nice looking throws, actually more than Caleb Williams had. But we're not gonna talk about that on
I
the
think
Big
Caleb
Media
Williams
platforms.
only completed like 4 passes.
Yeah,
Actually, he did. He was 4 for 7. So
yeah, great stat line. Anyways, JJ McCarthy, he's looking good over in Minnesota. He will not be the starter.
people are anticipating the return of Anthony Richardson to the starting spot for the Colts. Played a little bit, not super. I mean,
Not great.
nothing really impressive, but people are excited to see him back in the driver's seat. Obviously, for the minuscule amount of time that he played in the regular season last year, he looked pretty good. So if they can keep him healthy, I think the Colts might put in some work down there in the AFC South. But it's just about keeping him healthy.
Yeah, like and you can't be fooled by these headlines either. Like I'm looking at Jaden Daniels' stat line. Everyone said he had a great game. He was 2 for 3 for 45 yards, and then I saw he had a rushing touchdown, and I'm looking at it. It's like he had a 3-yard rushing touchdown. So these people are going crazy about these rookie quarterbacks. Again, we're not trying to rip on rookie quarterbacks, but we're just saying, like, it's the preseason. You know, it's the preseason. This is nothing like the pressure that the regular season brings. And like they're good at football. That's why they were drafted in the first round. But it's like, can they be good under the pressure in the NFL during the regular season?
There's no pressure for them right now because they were drafted in the first round. So obviously, come September, they're obviously going to be on the field. So they're not having a fight
Yeah.
for a roster spot. There's no pressure. They're just kind of doing whatever out there.
Something interesting though, looking at the Broncos Colts game that you were just talking about. I was looking at the Broncos like QB situation because obviously they've got Bo Nix, Zach Wilson, and Jared Stidham. So you're not looking at crazy amazing quarterbacks. They've got Stidham on the 1 spot, Zach Wilson on the 2 spot, and they've got Bo Nix on the 3 spot. He was 15 for 21, 125, and a touchdown. So that's not awful, but I don't know what you think about who should be
I guess I don't
starting there.
really. I was gonna
I don't
say
think it should be
I
Jared
honestly
Stidham.
don't know who you start there. I don't think Jared Stidham either. I think he's been given.
An
I don't
opportunity.
know if you'd say a fair shot, but he has been given opportunity to play at the NFL level. Not that great. Also, the other thing you have to think about is Bo Nix is like the same age as these kids or as these
Yep.
dudes now because he's
Yep.
like 26 or something.
Yeah.
I don't think he's actually 26, but
No, I think he actually might be
is
26.
he actually 26?
Wait,
Okay, I thought.
24 maybe. He might be
Okay,
20.
well, he's pretty old
I'm looking it up.
for his draft class or whatever. Um, I don't know who would have.
24.
Okay, I would think Bo Nix would have the most upside of those 3
Obviously, yeah, he just got
because
drafted.
I think we've seen the best of Zach Wilson. I mean,
Yeah.
the Jets weren't the team they had last year was not awful, to be honest with you. That was probably the
Yeah.
best Jets team he was surrounded by. O-line was okay, not the greatest, but they had some decent offensive weapons and they had one of the best defenses in the league, a top tier
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah. And the defense was the only reason that they were in it for a couple of months where it's like, oh, are they going to make the playoffs? And then obviously that
Mm-hmm.
ended. But Aaron Rodgers is the reason we had to watch him on every primetime game. So we saw a lot of Zach Wilson last season, actually, me and Nick did. And um, I wasn't impressed. I will say maybe the pressure of playing as a New York Jet at the quarterback of the New York Jets could be a big thing for a kid. So I think at this point, like it should be between Bo Nix and Zach Wilson. I think Bo Nix should probably get the starting job at some point. Maybe he's not ready for it yet. I mean, he just got drafted, but also Bo Nix and Michael Penix are two guys that are like 6-year seniors. Were 6-year seniors for their college teams. Like they're at this point, they're men playing in the NFL. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think there could possibly be a situation where we might see all three of them get a start.
mm-hmm.
I honestly don't even know.
Well, if they stick with Stidham, he's not going to keep that job.
I was gonna say if Stidham stays at number one, he's gonna lose that pretty easily,
Yep.
and then I don't know, they might throw a Bo Nix in there at some point. I would throw him in.
Yeah, I would too.
First, to be honest with you, but
Yeah.
there's really no right answer there. I don't know. They're struggling.
Got
They're
to see who's
struggling at
playing the
quarterback
best. Yeah.
position. Yeah. The Cowboys lost to nobody's
Yeah.
surprise. Stetson Bennett threw 4 interceptions and then threw a game-winning touchdown. So that was nice to see.
The thing with the Cowboys is we're still of the belief that we don't play our starters in the preseason, which is fine. But, Stetson Bennett is definitely not going to be the starting quarterback for the Rams. And, I mean, we didn't play Dak. I feel like that game, the Rams-Cowboys game, was the least one that mattered. I mean, you didn't see anybody really relevant playing
Nobody
a whole lot.
relevant played in that game.
So, which obviously, like, that's pretty typical. Jerry seeing everybody else doing something, and he's like, "No, I'm going to stay the same. I'm not going to play him because that doesn't help him at all."
Yeah, we're used to seeing this. It's the same thing every single offseason.
Yep.
We're still waiting on CD to get paid, and I'm hoping we'll do that pretty soon because he is our best offensive weapon, and he is floating out in the middle of the air. And I don't know what we're doing out there, Jerry. I need you to pay him.
Yeah, Jerry, would you stop saying stuff that's like making him mad, and would you just give him money? Because it's gonna happen at some point. And you waiting is just increasing the market. You're watching all these receivers get paid record money, and then you're gonna have to pay him more. So just pay him now. Pay Dak
We all know
already.
it's going to happen. Just do it.
Just pay everyone. Stop holding in.
So, here's like in our shows on Under Review. I brought you a quote from the Eddie Dupree from $1 Million Baby.
Yeah.
And he said, boxing is an unnatural act. Instead of running from the pain like a sane person would do, you keep into it. That's the truth.
That is the truth. Sometimes that's life.
Mm-hmm.
We thank you for tuning in this week. We will see you next week with another episode of Under Review.